Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Mansfield Town News and Views. I'm joined with a very special guest this evening, Michael Boulding. First off, Mike, thanks for taking your time out of your evening to take part in this interview. How are you doing?
Yeah, cheers, Mark. Yeah, doing good.
Brilliant stuff, mate. Now, there's a lot to cover throughout your career because obviously you had a really long career and stuff, obviously at Mansfield, along with like other moments in your career. But before I talk about Mansfield, obviously you were a massive tennis player.
Yeah. So uh, when I was younger, played just all I did was play football, and then started drifting into tennis at about 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
Really got into that, and then ended up on the national squad for a few years, and then traveling as a pro for a few years, and
Yeah.
then obviously drifting back into football.
Yeah.
Came back into football, at a late age,
Yeah.
and Mansfield gave me my chance.
Yeah, it must
Yeah,
have been a
yeah,
hard choice for you, though. Obviously, because obviously tennis was another passion in your life at the time. So,
yeah.
talk us through that. Because obviously you had to turn professional at Mansfield. So, how hard of a decision was that for you?
It wasn't difficult at all. It was like I loved football.
Yeah,
I played tennis, and I enjoy the game. But my first love was football. As soon as I could walk, I'd kicking a football around all
yeah,
day, and I love football. And that was so it was an easy decision.
yeah. So, obviously, you started out at Doncaster Youth side. What was that like for you?
It,
When you?
it, it, it wasn't I wasn't at Doncaster Youth, actually. I was at Man United,
Oh
as
wow!
a young boy, yeah, and then obviously went into tennis. But when
Right.
when I came back,
Yeah.
um, so I'd ended up playing. Uh, I moved house and ended up walking. There was a football pitch behind the house. I ended up walking, like going for a walk, and
Yeah.
there was a Sunday League team playing Bradway. And I ended up walking around talking to the manager and the lads on the side. And
Yeah.
I said, "Is there any chance like I could have a game?"
Yeah.
And they went, "Okay, come next week, and we'll give you 10 minutes."
Yeah.
And then, like literally, every time I was home, I'd play with them.
Yeah.
Chris Wilder ended up managing that team, actually, that Sunday League team.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but yeah, so I ended up playing with them and scored like 30 goals in like 7 or 8 games, and
Yeah.
just started getting my love back for the game and playing. I'd not been on a football pitch for 5 or 6 years up to that point.
Oh wow!
Yeah, started getting my love back, and then someone who I was pretty close to growing up was Emlyn Hughes.
Hmm.
Was like really good friends with his son, and Emlyn like knew me, and he'd always be talking to me when I was younger, saying, you should really think about turning pro.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'd talked to Emlyn. I said, like falling back in love with the game, like I like feel like I'm playing well, and he was like saying, like 100%, you could play, you're good enough to play pro.
Yeah.
Um, and so uh, Emlyn's son is
Hmm.
called Emlyn as well.
Oh,
Emlyn's godfather's Mike Newell. So
right.
yeah, so Mike phoned me up, and Mike had started. He was like player coach at Doncaster Rovers.
Right.
Doncaster Rovers were in the conference at this time.
Yeah.
So Ian Snodding was manager. Ian and Glyn Snodding was like his assistant. So I'd gone over to train,
Hmm.
and it was weird. Like from the first day going there, like Ian was being a bit funny, and
Hmm.
he'd like all the running, like won all the running, all the
Yeah.
sprints, was winning it. It
Hmm.
felt like I was doing well in training.
Yeah.
Um, and eventually, they put me on in a game. I came on as sub and
Yeah.
got subbed off about 10 minutes later. He just told me to like sit down, uh, and so I sat down. Then the change room after, I can remember him like talking. I can remember saying, like, all the lads were then. I can remember saying to Ian, "Shall I come in
Hmm.
Monday morning?" And he went, "Don't call us, we'll call you."
Right.
All
Uh,
the lads were laughing, so I was like, walked out thinking, flipping out. I've like blown it.
Yeah.
So the next day, got a call from Ivan Hollett, and obviously, poor old Ivan. He's sadly passed away.
Yeah.
This week, but Ivan was the man who gave me my chance in football. So
Oh,
Ivan phoned up and he was like saying, "I've seen you. I want you to come in."
yeah.
So I turned up for a game against Hucknall,
Mm.
and it was like Bobby Hassel, Diz,
Nice.
Liam Lawrence, Leroy. It was like ridiculous, like sort of they were all like sort of 18, 19. And it was obviously the reserve team. It was
Yes.
like a really, really good, really good group of lads. So
Yeah.
played against Hucknall, played half a game, and I can remember turning up and Ivan was like, "You're left winger," and I was like, "No, I'm a centre forward." And he was like, "But we've seen you left winger," and I was like, "No, I'm a centre forward." And he went,
Yeah.
"Right, okay, we'll give you 45 minutes."
Yeah.
Played 45, like felt I did well, scored,
Yeah.
came off. Ivan was like, "You're great." It was like the gaffer was here this evening, Billy
Yeah.
did, and then he wants you to play with the first team
Oh,
on
wow.
Tuesday.
Nice.
So came on. So that was. I'm trying to remember who played. I think it was like. I think it might have been like Wakefield or someone. I can't remember totally who the game was against. Played that game. Played half a game.
Yeah.
Um, did really well, and I can remember Billy coming, putting his arm around me, and saying, "Do not speak to anybody until tomorrow morning. I need
Oh,
to see you in my office in the morning."
yeah.
I walked into Billy's office in the morning, and he was like, "Right, it's a professional contract.
Yeah.
What do you think?" And I was just like, I can remember calling my dad, and
Yeah.
like I was at that point, I was still playing tennis, and I'd still got my world ranking,
Yeah.
and I'd not told anyone what I was doing in the tennis world.
Yeah.
I can remember talking to my dad, and I was like, saying, I can't believe I've been offered this like contract. What do you think of
Yeah.
it? Like, he was like, "I think you should go for it." And so I
Yeah.
was like saying to Billy, like, "Yeah, go for it." But one of the things I remember with that as well was like I'd obviously had that rejection from Donny, and
Mhm.
who were in the conference at the time, and Mansfield were in the league.
Yeah.
It was obviously a step up for me to go to that level. And I can
Yeah.
remember one of the first few games that I'd played. It was a reserve game. We played against I think it was Hartlepool, and I scored a brace.
Mm-mm.
And when I was coming off the pitch,
Yeah.
Glyn and Ian Snodden was stood in the tunnel. They'd been at the game
Oh,
watching.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
and Ian was just like stood there with his head down, and Glyn was laughing. And we were walking past them, going like, "All right, guys," like that.
Yeah.
And I just thought, yeah,
Yeah. It is what we
yeah,
could have done, like, but
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of revenge, but yeah. So so it was Ivan. You know, what an amazing guy! I was like talking to a few of the guys
Mm.
this week, and
Yeah.
just saying like how many players
Yeah.
he brought through,
Hmm.
and how many people he gave a chance who otherwise
Yeah.
they would never have got that opportunity. And it's like when you're in the middle of your career, you don't really think about it. But when you've finished and you get time to
Yeah.
like reflect, and
Hmm.
you think of the people um, who you've met who gave you an opportunity
Yeah.
and a chance that
Yeah.
otherwise you would never. It's like obviously your career. Like my career went on for like 15 years, and I had some like amazing moments in football,
Yeah.
and it all came down to a few people,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Ivan's passing, obviously there's been a lot of ex-players that have spoken highly of him. And when
mm,
you look at him even when he was a player, he was a really good player as well. You look at the stats he had;
yeah,
it's
brilliant. Yeah,
amazing.
he was a brilliant player, and obviously like being a forward as well, he always had so much advice.
Yeah,
Uh, but one of the things with Ivan was um, he was always in the background, but
yeah,
his management he gave you confidence.
yeah,
And it's so important because I've played under managers who do the opposite.
Yeah.
They put you under the wrong type of pressure, and you don't feel that they particularly like they're
Yeah.
sort of waiting for you to make a mistake, and that can
Yeah.
it can make you a lot less a player.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at a club where people believe in you and they're bringing out the best in you,
Yeah.
you become you become the best that you can be. And he was that type of person, always smiling,
Yeah.
always relaxed. He
Yeah.
was he was a really, really great guy.
Yeah, and I'm sure as well, like obviously for yourself, you played under a lot of different managers, and I suppose it's hard when you've got a manager that's constantly like not giving you a chance in that. But obviously, Ivan, he was someone that took the time out and then just taught you a lot and made you the player that you essentially went to be.
Yeah. And also as well, Billy. It's like I actually, three of my uncles, they played for Matlock Town.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
one of them died a couple of years ago,
Mm.
and they had a testimonial at Matlock, and I
Yeah.
went and bumped into Billy, and
No.
we had like a good chat and
Mm.
like reminiscing, and
Mm.
then I ended up messaging him the next day because I had to think about him, and I just thought I never thanked him,
Mm.
for signing me and taking a chance on a young kid who'd been playing tennis.
Yeah.
And I messaged him and he called me, and it was so nice because we never had that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like it's weird because he's the one person that I always call Gaffer. I never call him Billy. To
Yeah.
he's always Gaffer, and it's like I talked to him this week with obviously with Ivan passing. We were discussing reminiscing about Ivan and talking about obviously going to go to
Yeah.
Ivan's funeral. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, another great person who always gave you confidence, um, and just allowed you to come out. And I think that embodied the club, and
Yeah.
and Mansfield, it's like a family club.
Yeah.
They want to bring players on, and they want to encourage young players. You'll
Yeah.
go to some other clubs and it's like, they'll give you a couple of 90 minutes and then they'll make a judgment on you. Whereas I've always felt at Mansfield like the people around the club and the fans have always been very, very tolerant,
Yeah.
and they're looking to bring players on.
Yeah.
So so it was a brilliant place for me, for me to be.
I think another thing as well, obviously back then, obviously football was so different in terms of like, well, just everything like it is now. The technology has moved forward.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it was amazing when you think because the club didn't have like the training ground that we've got
yeah,
now.
yeah,
So to do it with essentially nothing in that was just amazing.
yeah,
And it's one of the, I think even to this day, it remains like the best time that the club had in terms of youth and that because they all went on to
yeah,
have
yeah,
really
yeah,
good careers,
yeah. Well, uh, uh, Quinny, Stephen Quinn, he's in Sheffield, and we meet quite often for coffees and a
Oh,
chat and everything.
nice.
Um, and we were talking about the training ground because Quinny was saying
Mm,
like the setup now is like amazing.
yeah.
Whereas we used to go to Berry Hill. Um, we used to go to like the schools. We'd be training on like a school pitch.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was like literally like getting in your cars and like driving off looking for a patch of grass.
Yeah.
I can remember going and playing against Brighton and just training on a piece of grass on the front. There's like bloody, like old ladies having the fish and chips on the side, and we were like getting a training session going. But yeah, it was really good times, and there was some really, really good players.
So at that time at Mansfield, obviously, your first season. Then, did you make of it? Like the first season that you had at Mansfield?
It was incredible. It's like I used to drive home,
Yeah,
and I used to pinch myself every day that
yeah,
I was playing professional football and someone was paying me to play.
yeah,
I just found it incredible, and just I loved every minute. I loved training,
mm,
loved the matches. Love traveling to the games and just sort of the excitement. It was like going from tennis,
Yeah.
where most tournaments away from the Grand Slams, it's like, two men and a dog watching the
Yeah.
Masters too. I can remember the first game I played in a packed stadium was Rushden and Diamond.
Yeah.
I think it might have even been a pre-season, and I
Mm.
can remember a defender ushering the ball out, and I got a bit frustrated and pushed him into the crowd. And I can remember the noise that the crowd made. They'd like come surging towards you, and I was like, whoa, this is brilliant. But it's just just the difference with the atmosphere compared to tennis, like the passion that people have for their own club,
Yeah.
and that creates the buzz. It's like this last couple of years where they've been playing games with uh, no fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
It's not the same game.
No.
It's like a training session. It's
Yeah.
nice to watch, but there's no
No,
atmosphere.
honestly, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, people get really, really passionate about their club, and
Yeah.
that is what makes football.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, you played like for a number of different clubs, obviously, like higher up and that. And you just feel like lower league, it's so much more passionate in it, like the fans and that.
yeah,
Though.
yeah,
It's
definitely,
massive.
yeah, yeah. And I think obviously the higher up you go as well, the fans they sort of get segregated from the club, whereas
Yeah.
I think the smaller clubs that it's a lot more personal,
Yeah.
and everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Everything's more approachable,
Yeah.
and it's the way it should be, really.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, I think, where a lot of clubs really need to get more fans involved. That's why I kind of like it when
Yeah,
you've got to where like the fans own the club, because
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. It's every club should be like that, really. It should be. It should be brought into law that it's like it, because they're the people that have the interests of the club
yeah,
at heart.
yeah,
You get great owners.
yeah,
But also as well, you're sort of in the lap of the gods that they have got the club's interests, you know,
yeah.
and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously, after you left Mansfield, you went to Grimsby after that, and then from there, you just went on a massive goal scoring form at Grimsby. Then, so what made it such a good part for you at that time? Was it just the players that you had there? What was it that made it so good at Grimsby?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we had a great team, um, and I think that it was the same again where, um, I was with a manager. Well, I had two managers. I started with Lenny Lawrence, and then
Yeah,
Paul Groves. Grovesy, he was a teammate who was the captain,
yeah,
and he became the manager. But I'd got two managers who really sort of believed in me,
yeah.
and that massively helped. You know,
So obviously, your contract ran out at Mansfield in the first spell. Was it one of them? Did the club try and negotiate like a contract, or did they just let your contract run out?
yeah. I think what it was I'd had 2 seasons,
Yeah,
and um, like I was always like I wasn't sort of first choice
right.
player. Like I was sort of in and out, and
Yeah,
I felt that I'd progressed, and I
mm.
needed I needed to be playing. I needed to be playing football,
Yeah.
and it was actually Huddersfield. Huddersfield came in first,
Oh
but they,
wow.
they yeah. So it was Lou Macari. So Huddersfield were in League One,
Yeah.
and so they invited me over for a trial,
Mm.
uh, and so I went and trialed there,
Mm.
and then Grimsby came in. Grimsby were obviously in what's now the Championship. Um, and what it was I'd actually, one of my trial games ended up playing against Grimsby.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at Blundell Park, and then Grimsby came in, and and so they wanted to see me in a trial game,
Yeah.
and I I went and played, and they put me on the left wing, and it was actually against Doncaster Rovers, again, funnily enough. And I had an absolute stinker.
Yeah.
I was awful. And I can remember speaking to Lenny, and he was like, "Look, we're going to give you another game."
Yeah.
But but he didn't say it, but I could see that he wasn't overly impressed. And I said to him, I said, "Lenny," I said, play me up front,
Yeah.
and you'll sign me." And he was
Yeah.
like, "Well, I've got 9 strikers." And I said, "Play me up front, and
Oh,
you'll sign me." We played Blackpool,
yeah.
played up front, and I can remember leaving leaving the pitch, and John, who was the assistant manager, he was the one who sort of had asked me to come to the club, and I can
Yeah.
remember looking up, and I could just see him smiling.
Mm.
And I thought, yeah. And then John came to me and he said, "Yeah, Lenny wants to sign you." And then the next day in training, Lenny said, "Look, you will be playing on the wing. I've got 9 strikers, and you're number 10 on the striking list, so you will be playing on the wing." And so I actually started on the wing,
Yeah.
and then by Christmas I was up front.
Well, that's the thing. This is what I
Yeah,
mean. This is what makes me laugh with clubs when they put players out of position and then wonder
yeah,
why
yeah,
when they're not
yeah,
doing anything. It makes you.
yeah. I had it throughout my career.
Yeah.
I always got shoved on the wing. I can remember at Barnsley.
Yeah.
So I was top goal scorer in League One,
Yeah.
and at Christmas, and Barnsley signed me and
Yeah.
shoved me on the left wing, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it was Christmas. I was on like 17 goals, and it was like,
Mm.
what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I can remember Paul Hart, and I can remember going in, knocking on his door, and saying, "I'm a centre forward," and he was like, "You are not a centre forward." And then I can remember him. He eventually put me up front, and after 4 games, I can remember on the team bus home, we just played it. I think it was Brentford, and I'd scored a brace. And he used to have his meetings on the bus on the way back with all the players.
Yeah.
And he came in front of everyone, and he said, "I owe you an apology for why I centre forward." And I just thought it was nice, because a lot of managers wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually.
yeah, so I ended back up front there. But yeah, throughout my career, even when I came back to Mansfield in the
Yeah.
second spell with Peter Shirtliff, Peter put me.
Mm.
I played a season on the left wing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 11. Yeah,
And you like I say you mentioned Barnsley there, and then
yeah,
briefly at Rotherham and that. But just want to rewind a bit because you went to Aston Villa at the time.
yes, yeah.
How did that go? Because I know you wasn't there that long, didn't you?
No. So at the end of that season,
Yeah.
um, so I'd like obviously done really well at Grimsby that season, and I had quite a few clubs. So I had Everton,
Mm.
Middlesbrough, and Villa in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I also had Crystal Palace, who were in the champ. They were they were sort of pushing for promotion.
Yeah.
They offered me a 5-year deal, Palace,
Oh wow.
and like looking back now, I think that would have been the right fit. But obviously,
Yeah.
a club like Villa comes along,
I'll have to turn
um,
out. Yeah.
and yeah, it's impossible to turn down. But it was the same again at Villa. I got shoved on the left wing,
Mm.
and I obviously didn't get a chance. Um, my only start was in the Intertoto Cup
Mm.
against Zurich, and scored. I scored in that. Played 45 minutes. Scored.
Yeah.
Playing on the left wing.
Mm.
I just never got the chance to play up front. Like even in the reserves, they were playing on the left wing, and it was like trying.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Mm.
tell someone like Graham Taylor that you've
Yeah.
got you wrong and you need to play up front. But yeah, so
I think the flip side to that, it's obviously frustrating for anyone not playing, but I suppose it was
yeah,
an experience for you, playing alongside some top class players at the time.
yeah.
So, what players were there at the
I've
time?
actually got my Wimbledon mug.
Nice, nice. so what?
Um,
So what players did you play with at the time when you were there?
well, I ended up in a hotel with Peter Crouch
Oh wow.
and Stefan Postma, so ended up like like hanging around with them two all the time.
Yeah.
So they were brilliant fun. Lee Hendry was there. Dion Dublin, Paul Merson, Steve
Mm.
Stone, Stan Staunton,
Yeah.
Dries Vassell,
Mm.
J. Lloyd Samuel,
Mm.
Marcus Allback, Ollie Melberg.
Mm.
But used to get battered by Ollie Melberg's wife at golf. So when I was there, we used to. I lived at the Belfry Hotel for 6 months with Crouchy and Steph.
Yeah.
So we started playing a bit of golf, but we were like, me and Crouchy were like terrible at golf.
Yeah.
We used to go to the second tee because we
Yeah.
didn't want to tee off in front of the clubhouse. And we
Yeah.
got to a point where I don't know if we were like bullying each other up.
Mm.
We got to a point that we thought we were really good, so we decided to tee off outside the clubhouse. It was like a really hot day.
Yeah.
Clubhouse is packed.
Yeah.
Everyone's like stood, so everyone's watching us teeing off. Like I've gone first and bobbled my ball about 20 yards. Like Crouch is like just like cracking up, and he stepped up and just like stuck it straight in the hedge that was like a yard away from the tee. We both just like picked our balls up and just like walked off with like everyone like jeering us. I think there must have been Wolves fans or something. But yeah, no, I had a really good time at Villa, and it was like I don't regret going there because I think you got to give it you got to give it a shot, and you don't know what what could have happened, but obviously met some great great people there as well, and it just adds to the journey.
I suppose it's one of them you must look back on it now and think, bloody hell, we had all these clubs after you like that. I mean, obviously, when Villa comes in, you can't turn it down. But
Yeah.
so Palace is the one where you think, oh, I'd have chosen.
Well, they wanted to sign me as a striker, and
Yeah.
that was like
That-
when I played up front and I scored.
Yeah.
I always knew that I was going to score. Like
Yeah.
if I was playing centre forward, I always walked on the pitch feeling like I was going to score.
Mm.
And I knew that was my best position. It's like like I'm 2-footed, so it's like I didn't need to get it on. I'm predominantly left-footed.
Yeah.
I could shoot. I had a foot like my first ever goal in the league for Mansfield against Shrewsbury was a 30-yarder with my right foot.
Yeah.
It's like that was my strength was my finishing.
Yeah.
And so when I was obviously got shoved on the left wing because being left-footed, people naturally want to put you out there. But it was like, when I was playing up front, that was when I felt confident.
Yeah. So you mentioned about Mansfield there in your second spell. Obviously, Peter Shirtliff was there at the time. Did he? So how did that move come about then? When you returning back to Mansfield, then did he just?
Like my brother was at Mansfield.
Yeah.
And so I ended up retiring at 29. And so I didn't play for about 6 months. And then Alan Nill, who was at Rotherham, he ended up calling me up and asking me to go in.
Oh wow.
But it was really late in the season. It was like January, February. I ended up going in, training.
Yeah.
And I ended up playing like a couple of reserve games, but then it was like the end of the season. And I can remember Ivan talking to Rory and saying, what's Mickey doing? Is he playing? And he said, oh no, he's playing in training again.
Yeah.
And he was saying, why doesn't he come in to Mansfield for pre-season?
Yeah. So you did.
Yeah. So I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I suppose with your brother being there as well, like it must have like been really, strange for you as well. Just obviously linking up together, like so. Did you get a lot of like banter in that when your brother was there as well? Then the players and all.
Yeah, I mean, like Rory was obviously there, and like me going back in, I was sort of at the other end of my career then. I was into, I was into my 30s. Rory was 18, so he was sort of starting out and that. So I've always felt more. Rory's like my best mate, but I've always felt a little bit of a father figure with him as well. Because of the age gap. As he's got older, he's probably more like that with me now. He's very bossy.
So obviously it was easy for you to come back into this into Mansfield. Obviously, the place, the people, like so. It was just like, was it an easy decision for you to come back then?
Yeah.
Just easy to.
Yeah, well, it was like coming home. It was like like Mez, Michael Merriman.
Yeah.
Like he's been there, so it was like coming back. I knew just felt like I knew everyone. It was it was just like coming home.
Yeah, and like I say, obviously I know the second spell in Mansfield, obviously we ended up getting relegated that season, but that was like, you got 25 goals that season, so
yeah. So obviously the first season with Shirty, we didn't get relegated, and then it was the second season.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's that second season, And to be honest with you, still to this day, I don't know how it happened, because I look at the team.
Yeah.
And I've played in higher divisions with worse teams than the team that we had, and it's like, and when you look at what the guys did, they didn't. I can remember how we were having a chat in the dressing room, and it was like, I can remember Bap saying, "Look, we need to sort this out, because this ends careers. This, getting who's going to sign any of us, But it's like, you look at the players. And like Dawes, he went, he went on to play in the Championship. Bat played in the Premier League. Bucko ended up captaining Derby and that. So it was like, it was a really good side, and it's like, it's tough to put your finger on, what, where the sort of soft centre. Of the team was, because there was some Matty Hamshaw, brilliant player. What went wrong.
That's what I mean. Like I say, you mentioned the players there. I remember interviewing Gareth Jellyman a couple of years ago, and like he said the same thing as you just said there. Like it's like it was a good squad of players, but obviously were the things going off the pitch as well. As players, then what was that like for you? And obviously, did that like affect?
It's to say it doesn't affect you, it really does, and it was just, I think it was sad that it went on for so long. It would have been nice to have to have got it sorted quicker, but I suppose I suppose it just it played out. It played out as it did, and the obviously the clubs, they've got the owner that they want now, and then
So obviously, when you came back in your second spell, like who did you enjoy playing with most when you came back? Like, what players did you really like to get along with the most?
Like the dressing room was brilliant. The dressing room was great, and there's some really really good people there. Like the person who I most liked playing with was Matty Hamshaw, because he was such a good player, and I had that same relationship with Terry Cook when I was at Grimsby, where I knew with Hammy that you made a run. And the deliveries, and it's like that season. If you probably, now they make quite a big deal of like assists. Whereas I think Hammy's assist would have been, and the season before with Richie. And like I think Richie loved Hammy as well, because it was like you'd make a run, he'd spot you, he could pick you out with a cross straight onto your head. He was just he was a really, really good player to play with.
What was it like being managed under Pete Shirtley? What was it like being coached under him?
Great. Like Shirty was like a really good guy. It's like like obviously disagreed on the position, but as a person, he was a really really good person, and yeah, he was a really good coach as well. You know, obviously it was unfortunate that that he got sacked and that, but um, he was great. He was as good as I've had. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
So, what would you say was your best goal at Mansfield? Then, what was the one that you look back on, and like, would you pick out of the favourite one you've scored?
I think the best goal for me was probably in my first ever spell. I scored a goal against Shrewsbury, where I'd gone from the middle and gone past a few people, gone round the keeper, and at
Yeah,
a really tight angle, I'd hooked it back in with my right foot. It was while the stadium was being built, because I can remember I've
yeah,
seen it on a video since, and that stand
yeah,
is just like a concrete.
yeah,
But obviously, like the first goal, that I ever scored
yeah,
uh, was obviously like really memorable, and it was like a 30-yarder with my right foot.
mm,
Um, I can remember
mm,
Darryl Clark coming running over to me, because I'd like turned around, I was like in shock. And he's like, I can't believe it's offside. And I like turned around to look at the linesman. He was like, ah. But that was the first thing he said to me. Um, but so that was amazing. My first goal um, uh, on my final season, which was the first game of the season, was Brentford away,
yeah.
and I can remember scoring a 25-yarder, like on the half volley. That was a pretty good goal. That one.
So, out of your football career, then, who would you say was your favourite manager that you like to be playing under, and why?
Favorite manager? Well, obviously Billy like really sticks out, because he gave me my chance.
Yeah,
Um, uh, and then I'd say Paul Groves at Grimsby,
mm,
because he was one person where I just felt like I couldn't do anything wrong
mm,
for him, and
yeah,
I ended up playing that way. I'd get one chance in a game and score, because I was just so confident playing under him. Um, yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, in the second season, even though it was like, in terms of your goal scoring, it was like 25 goals, like, so the best time in your in terms of goal scoring.
Mm.
And obviously, the club got relegated. And if I'm right in saying, did the club offer you a contract to join with them again, or what was it like?
Um, so it was like, obviously there was a massive amount of upheaval after, um, and I came back in.
Yeah.
I came back in for pre-season, and
Mhm.
to say it was, I'm being polite here, but it was an absolute circus what was going on.
Yeah.
There was someone walked in and said that they were the manager. We went to train,
Yeah.
came back, got called into the office, and there's someone else sat there who said that they were the manager,
Mm.
and they wanted to offer me a contract. And then going downstairs, and someone else coming and saying that they were the new owner,
Hmm.
and they were being polite. They were extremely rude, extremely rude. Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was just like, I was just thinking that at that point, you know, I, it was in complete chaos. It was in complete chaos. But obviously, the club found its feet,
Yeah.
um, and and got back, got back on track. But it was like, it wasn't really an option at that point. I'd come in good faith,
Yeah.
uh, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that those people,
Yeah.
after Keith Haslam had gone, I'm
Yeah.
so glad that that next bunch, that John Radford ended up coming in and
Yeah.
sort of saving. saving the situation, because those other people, they, you know, that was a disaster. That.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we really count ourselves lucky because without them, we wouldn't have been a club. It's as simple as that. And obviously,
Yeah.
Obviously you've seen it yourself. So basically, the people at the time there, obviously Haslam, like you spoke there, but just other people behind the scenes, just didn't care. Basically, then.
Well, Keith had gone at that point. So
Yeah,
Keith had gone, and
yeah,
there was another bunch who'd come in
yeah,
who were, they weren't the type of people you want running your club.
yeah,
But obviously John's come in and been a saviour, hasn't he?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And he's like we were talking, he's got the best interest of that football club
Oh
in
yeah,
his heart. You can see that he lives it. He
yeah,
lives it, and he loves the club, and he's done brilliant.
yeah. He has, and like I say, it's just
Mm,
obviously the training ground, like I mentioned earlier on, and just
mm.
every season the budget's always quite good for any manager coming
Yeah,
in.
yeah. The other thing I'd say as well is Nigel. So I actually finished at Derby. I
Yeah,
didn't play many matches. But I didn't play any matches. But Nigel,
mm,
brilliant manager,
yeah.
brilliant coach, and he's it's uh, it's a great fit for that club.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's strange because you wouldn't have thought for a second, that someone like that would manage someone like him.
yeah. But he's Nigel is
Yeah,
he's a football man.
yeah,
And he loves the game. He loves the game. I can remember at Derby, him staying out after training,
yeah,
doing finishing practice. With the lads, like him doing the finishing, and he was like brilliant guy. You
mm,
know, brilliant manager. Um, and just a lot of integrity. Very very honest person.
yeah,
He'll always upfront and always honest with you. No sort of agendas or anything.
yeah.
But
That's it.
yeah,
It's kind of like how his dad was, wasn't it? Just honest, straight.
yeah.
And I'm sure obviously you've seen plenty of times where he just wants to play good football.
Yeah,
Classic
yeah,
football.
yeah, yeah,
So it really suited your style of play at the time, then, just having somebody like that, want to play that way.
yeah.
So obviously, when you left Mansfield, due to obviously the circumstances like we mentioned, you had a spell at Bradford. What was it like at Bradford?
All right, yeah. So it was Stuart McCall was the manager,
Hmm,
with Wayne Jacobs. So um, yeah. So the first season was good. This
yeah,
second season wasn't great. I think obviously the first season they really went for it.
yeah,
The wage structure was high.
yeah,
Um, they didn't go up, um, and they started trying to offload um, like the high earners, which I was one of them, and it was like I felt there was like unfinished business there. So I offered to take a wage cut
yeah,
and stay. Pre-season, I can remember that off season I like trained really hard.
yeah,
Um, Came back, and pre-season I was on fire, and I was thinking it's gonna be a great season. And I can remember the first game of that season we lost 5-0
oh,
away to Notts County of all
oh,
people. And we were obviously favourites to go up,
yeah,
and I think I think the chairman wasn't too happy,
mm,
and they just made a load of changes for the next games, and
yeah,
then I didn't really um, get back in to the team, and then I was sort of in and out
yeah,
for the rest of that season. Um, yeah, and then obviously left there, ended up going back and to Mansfield, and I can
mm,
remember playing uh, went back and trained. So I just gone to train, and ended up playing a pre-season game against Barnsley.
yeah,
played against Barnsley, played really well, scored. That evening, Mark Robbins phoned me and said, "Have you signed for Mansfield?" And I was like, "No, I'm just training there just to keep fit." And he was like saying, "We want to sign you." Obviously, Barnsley were in the champ, so I ended up that was my last season in football. So I ended up going to Barnsley.
Yeah.
And Nigel ended up calling me. I'm trying to remember who's it. Chris Commons. Chris Commons had gone. I think had gone to Scotland.
Yeah.
They were like really light on strikers. He was like, "We want you to come in." I was like, "Well, Barnsley want to sign me." He said, "Well, I need to have a look at you." And I said, and ended up signing for Barnsley.
Yeah.
And then didn't really play, and then ended up going to Derby just after Christmas.
What was your first impression of Nigel when you spoke to him and met him? What was he like?
Well, I'd talked to Nigel from early on. So Nigel, from me starting,
Yeah.
I'd spoken to him every summer because he was Burton manager. And he
Yeah.
kept calling, saying like, "Really like you. What are you doing? What's happening?" And I
Yeah.
was like, I'm I got on really well with him.
Yeah.
I was obviously happy. I was happy where I was. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to Burton.
Yeah.
But so I'd spoken to him quite a lot, so I kind of got to know him pretty well, before actually going to Derby. Yeah.
So when it came to your retirement, then what was it? Was it just you just kind of lost interest in it, or was it you just feeling it? What was what came to?
No, so I got a sort of job opportunity. I was 35 years old, and I
Yeah.
was thinking, I'm not sort of going that way
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
I could probably play for a few more seasons.
Yeah.
But I'd got a really good opportunity, and I just thought, right, it's the next part of my life. It sort of starts here. But it was pretty stupid because I'd done a full pre-season first before doing it. So I'd done all the hard work, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
So obviously, for you, it was just that time in like a player's career where you just like question, like, look, you look at your age, you look and see how much you've got left in you. Was it kind of like,
Yeah,
you
well, to be honest with you, I feel like
just
I've never had any surgery on my body at all,
yeah,
and I feel like even today, like I feel fit and healthy, and I could, I still feel like I could move well. So it wasn't to do with like like my body's knackered.
yeah,
It was more I'd got this opportunity, and it was something that was difficult to sort of turn down, and it
yeah,
might not be there in 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
And obviously with football, it's been my passion, but you have to think about the rest of your life, don't you? And
yeah, of course, yeah,
if there had been an opportunity
yeah,
with it, in the game,
yeah.
and that, obviously I wouldn't have left it.
Would it be something that you'd like to get into football, like coaching role, or is there anything like your badges or anything like that?
So I never did any badges, but
Right.
which I kind of regret now because I do like I train with my nephews, um, uh, and like I do enjoy coaching,
Yeah,
but I obviously um, never did any badges. But like the one area that I love coaching is goal scoring.
yeah,
And striking in like positional sense, and actually teaching people, because I think it's the one area in football that has always shocked me how poor most professional footballers are at finishing.
yeah,
They're like amazing at everything else, and it's like
yeah,
you go to any training session in the league and you'll see the possession and they're just bopping it about, and that
yeah,
and the players and the skills, amazing skills, and then they get in front of goal and it's like it's
yeah,
like they can't play. A lot of players are like that. You
yeah,
see players, whereas I just think that if you get anywhere within striking distance of a goal, you should be able to hit that target off
yeah,
both feet just
yeah,
instantaneously. It should just be it should be
Hmm.
trained into you
Yeah,
exactly the same as you would train your first touch, possession. But you'll see, you know, it's you know it's probably changed a lot since I was playing. But you go to training sessions,
yeah,
everyone trains together,
yeah,
and they're doing possession, and then they might do a small sided game, and then you'll do a finishing session with like 10 people. Well,
yeah,
you need to be getting 100 shots off per
yeah,
training session, every type of finish. And it
yeah,
was like that's what I love doing, and it's like I'd I'd stay behind and do an hour's finishing every day,
yeah.
uh, because I needed to do it. I needed to feel that if I got any chances that you
Just take it.
yeah you're taking it off either foot, head, anything. It's like, and it's one area that I think is still neglected.
Yeah,
At least at the lower leagues. I think a lot of the top players they'll stay out there
yeah,
and practice. That's why they're up there.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's easy for a fan to sit there and say this from the stand, like, but when you see them like players warming up and having shooting practices, you think,
Mm.
wow, they look good. And then when it comes to real time, they just miss chances, and you
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
how?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it's a strange one. So, would you say it's more like of a confidence thing as well? Having said all that, though, would you say it's like just composure sometimes and just
It's composure, but everything's like my opinion
yeah,
in anything
yeah,
is you're trained or you're untrained.
yeah,
There's no in between. It's like you wouldn't go into surgery and say to the surgeon, "Are you feeling confident?" They'd just be like, this is what I do. This
yeah,
is what
yeah,
I do," and it's like if everybody gets nervous, everyone feels the same nerves.
yeah,
It's like if me and you were going out to play in front of 45,000 now, we'd
yeah,
both be feeling exactly the same
of course,
nerves. But
yeah,
it's your technique
yeah,
that holds it together.
yeah,
So it's like if you're doing 100 finishes every day,
yeah,
it becomes second nature. So that chance happens, and your technique takes over, and it's
yeah,
just like you see the goal, you see the keeper's positioning, and boom, it's in the back of the net,
yeah.
and it's the same same as anything.
I mean, I know it's
Yeah,
cliche, but like you say, you've just got to be training and like constantly just practicing wanting to do it. Because I think that's the other thing as well. You just want to do it, don't you? That's another big thing.
yeah. It definitely like an obsession.
Yeah,
Whereas like a goal scorer, they'll see an opportunity.
yeah,
Whereas someone who's not happy sees
yeah,
a chance that they're going to fail.
yeah,
I can remember someone saying that to me with the penalties. They were
yeah,
saying people who don't want to take penalties are
hmm,
thinking about missing them,
mm,
whereas people who are grabbing the ball are
yeah,
thinking that it's a chance to score a goal.
yeah,
And so it's those two mentalities. It's like one's thinking, I don't want to miss this,
yeah.
whereas the goal scorer's thinking, this is another goal for me. I've got give me the ball.
What was it like when you were taking penalties? And was it like, right, I'm having this one. I'm the penalty taker, or did you have other players throughout your career that says, no, this is mine? What was it like?
Uh, at some clubs, but I think it's like I used to practice penalties as well every day, and I think once people see you practicing,
Yeah,
they give you the ball.
yeah,
I think it's just psychological. It's like
yeah,
it's like he's been practicing, we haven't. But
yeah.
I can remember playing against I think it was Notts County, and I missed a penalty,
Mm.
and then we got another penalty like literally 5 minutes later, and I can remember Stephen Dawson like came over to me and went, uh, I'm going to take this one." I was like, "You're not." And he was like, and I can remember after the manager saying that took a lot of guts to take that second
Yeah,
penalty. All I was thinking is, there's no way he's having this.
yeah,
This is I need to rectify this.
yeah,
It's like I didn't think, oh my god, if I miss a second time, it was just like, I'm going to
yeah,
make sure this one goes in. Um, but yeah, you do. I've had it at clubs where people, especially if the manager's not said right that he's taking penalties, you
yeah,
get people arguing,
yeah.
fighting over it. Yeah,
Just ask a couple of questions from some fans here. So, got one from John. The best player that you played with at Mansfield? I'm going to say Rory.
So played with some brilliant players. I mean, as a forward, Chrissy,
Yeah,
like talk about finishing.
yeah,
Now that guy could finish.
he could.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what a brilliant player, and he, just got the sweetest strike.
yeah,
Really great guy, a brilliant person to talk to if you needed any advice.
yeah,
As a finisher, yeah, amazing. And then I'd probably say as a natural ability, I'd say Liam Lawrence. Yeah. From me arriving, I can remember Liam. He'll have been 17,
mm,
and you know, he could really play.
mm,
Liam, brilliant footballer. Yeah,
mm.
very, very natural.
Yeah. I'm sure you remember this. I'm sure you've got asked this a lot of times, but I haven't asked. Have you still got the score from Robert Huth's ninja attack?
I did have it for a long time.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
he punctured my stomach.
yeah.
Yeah, so but look, like I actually got my arm across.
Ooh,
So a couple of the stud marks were in my arm, but I think that saved me from
yeah.
getting several
Sure.
ribs broken. But his bottom stud like went straight through the bottom of my stomach.
But that must have been your worst injury, surely. I can't see anything else being like worse than that. Or
I know I broke my nose in 7 places. It was
oh,
it was that was in the that was in my second season.
yeah,
The start of the second season, Barnet away,
mm,
gone for a diving header, and Clarkey had a swing for the ball and caught me straight in the face. So I got it collapsed my septum, ended up with a blood clot,
yeah.
but it broke it in 7 places, ended up with bone in
Ooh.
my sinuses. Yeah, so uh, that was about as bad as it got.
I suppose you're lucky, I suppose, because it's like most players like have long-term injuries, but for you wasn't really like didn't have anything like that. They were like nothing serious like for long term. Then
No, I had an ankle injury so I went on loan to Sheffield United
yeah,
um, under Neil Warnock, and we ended up playing Derby.
mm,
And I'd gone for a shot, and Warren Barton had blocked the shot,
mm,
and I ended up doing 50% of the ligaments in my right ankle.
yeah,
And that was about the longest I was out. It was about 4 months I was out with that.
yeah.
But that recovered and um, got back to normal.
Mm. I should have really asked this earlier on, to be honest. But what was your impressions of Mansfield when you first came to the club? Like the town, the people. What was your first impressions of it?
Brilliant, welcoming.
Yeah,
Like the rapport that I had with everyone. It's like everyone made me feel a part of the club
yeah,
straight away, and it was just it was like a big family, really, And it was like the guys in the dressing room were great.
yeah,
Um, it was good fun. Um, but Billy was good fun.
yeah,
Having Ivan there, and so I
yeah.
just felt like never felt under pressure at
No,
Mansfield ever, and just felt like a part of a family. Yeah,
yeah,
that's the best way, and it was always come back to club, always look for results,
mm,
and you feel like you're for the rest of your life you're a part
yeah,
of the fabric of that club.
yeah. So it's like obviously even now you still get fans like mentioning the name now and again. It must mean a lot to you when you look back on your career, like when you get fans, remembering stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it's always a shock. It's always a shock. It's like you come on saying, "Do you want to do an interview?" And it's like, why does anyone want to talk to me? It's like it's. I think that's what makes club's so special is that
Yeah.
the fans, the club's history
Yeah.
is part of what it is today,
Yeah.
and it's like that's it's it is like a family, isn't it? It's like you look
Yeah.
back at it's like
Yeah.
sort of remembering
Yeah.
people who are sort of gone,
Yeah.
and it's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's like one of them. It's like when I said to people on my page, right, I'm going to interview you, everyone's there like, God, bloody hell, blast front past this, innit? I'm like,
Yeah.
obviously, when I was like first going, you were playing, and I remember you scoring all these goals. I'm just thinking, why can't we get? Because no one scored that amount of goals since you've left. So it's like you might be good to get your boots on for me.
You'd be booing me after a week.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but
Yeah, no, I think they've got a good team, haven't they now, and a really good manager. So I think it's all positive.
I was going to ask you actually, what do you think of the chances, obviously, of the league table and just the last 9 games? Do you think we could do it this
year? Yeah. I mean, they've got a strong squad. So it's they've got to be in the mix, haven't they?
Hopefully,
yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm sure you know yourself, and like every Mansfield Town player, there's an easy way, there's a hard way, and there's a Mansfield Town way.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still frustrated at times, though. We still want to change.
Yeah.
So the final word, then, what would your message be to Mansfield Town fans? Then, just that supported you throughout your career, what would your message be to them?
Thank you so much for all the support that you've shown me. And I will be eternally grateful that you gave me my chance in the game that I love.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, thanks again yourself for taking your time out of your evening. I know you're busy with work and that, so yeah, I really do appreciate you taking your time out.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, Mark.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Cheers.